What are you talking about? There's no way I reserved a room for you. I made it clear that this is a family vacation, and today is only for family. My mind went blank at those words. What is this person talking about? You think a wife who can't even produce an heir is family? You can't be a family unless you give birth to a boy. So, you never planned to let me stay here from the start? Of course not. My Emile laughed triumphantly. I had reached my limit. Understood. I'll be leaving now, I said. I'm Rose, a 32-year-old office worker. I married my husband Tom 6 years ago. Currently, we live in New York with our 4-year-old daughter, Ava. Tom is competent at his job, calm, kind, and dependable. My FIL runs a business out in Nebraska, and my BIL works at the same company. I've heard that my BIL is expected to take over the company in the future, but Tom, being the second son, doesn't seem too interested and hasn't talked much about it. I wasn't particularly on bad terms with my in-laws and kept a respectful distance, visiting them only during holidays like Thanksgiving and New Year's. Tom saw his family and his parents' home as separate, so it was good that he didn't interfere too much. However, everything changed one day. Hey, Rose, when are you having your next child? She asked suddenly. What? Hurry up and have a boy, she demanded. Even if you say that, I thought. Suddenly I received the command from my MIL to produce a grandson. I was completely taken aback. She usually calls during work hours. She had never called so frequently before, so I wondered what was going on. If I called back from work, she'd ask, "Are you pregnant yet? Did you get pregnant?" I thought she'd stop after a few days, but it only got worse. If I didn't return her calls, I'd get flooded with messages. Ignoring those messages led to more calls, a relentless cycle. I couldn't take it anymore and decided to talk to Tom. At first, he couldn't believe it, but when I showed him the call history and messages, he was shocked. "What is this?" he exclaimed. I was surprised too. I wonder if something happened. I was puzzled by the sudden change. After thinking for a moment, Tom said, "I recently heard that my brother got divorced. Sorry for telling you late. I was busy with work." Oh, I see. Maybe Mom's worried about the future of the family business now that my brother is single. The timing of the divorce certainly coincided with the start of the phone attacks from my MIL, and the word, boy, was in every message. "I'll talk to Mom," Tom offered. Even though Tom said so, consider the reason why she calls during the daytime. She must be trying to avoid being noticed by him. "I think it'll only make things worse if you tell her," I said. "So, it's okay," I refused. When I declined, Tom said, "Let me know if it gets unbearable." I was really glad that Tom saw his family and his parents' home as separate. Even after that, the calls didn't stop, and it wasn't just about kids anymore. She started criticizing my family, my personality, and even my job. The stress was building up so much that I sometimes turned off my phone to cope. My dissatisfaction with my MIL kept growing steadily. If this continued, I thought about blocking her calls altogether. One day, while having dinner with my family, my phone rang. Oh, it's from my MIL. "Mom is calling at this hour?" It was unusual for my MIL to call in the evening, especially when I was with Tom and Ava. I nervously answered the phone. "Good evening, Rose." Right from the first word, I could tell her attitude was different. She was probably aware her son was around and was putting on a sweet voice. "We're planning a family trip next weekend." A sudden family trip? What could be the reason for this? I wondered. "And Rose, I want you to drive. You know Tom doesn't drive." I was stunned by her demanding attitude without considering my opinion. She said the destination was a hot spring about a 3-hour drive from New York. While it was possible to stop by her place on the way, it would require a slight detour. My MIL ended the call with, "I've already made the reservation, so I'm counting on you, Rose." Even though I hadn't agreed to go, she had already made the reservation. She hung up the phone before I could say anything. Tom looked at me apologetically. Ava was excited about the trip. If I refused, my Emil would probably get furious, so enduring one night seemed better. Since Ava was happy, Tom and I decided to go on the trip. On the day of the trip, the calls and messages from my Emil hadn't stopped since I agreed to go. I couldn't block her calls, and it was tough. Check-in was at 3 p.m., but my Emil wanted to do some sightseeing, so we had to arrive by 10 a.m. We planned to leave at 6 a.m., pick up my in-laws by 9 a.m., and reach the destination by 10 a.m. I got up at 5 a.m. to get ready. Tom and Ava, rubbing their eyes, managed to wake up too. All right, let's head out. Though not excited, Tom seemed to be in a good mood. At this point, I had no choice but to try and enjoy the trip too. Thinking that, I kept driving. After 2.5 hours, we were finally about to reach my in-laws' house. It's important not to underestimate the traffic on a Saturday morning. It was good we left with some extra time. I called my Emil on speakerphone. We'll be there in about 10 minutes. Oh my, you're quite late. It's disgraceful for an adult to oversleep. Are you neglecting your housework too? She probably didn't realize others could hear her. The roads are busy on Saturday mornings. I told you we'd leave at 6 a.m. and arrive around 8:30 a.m., I quickly responded. It seems she didn't expect her son to be listening. My Emil quickly backtracked. Oh yes, that's right. It's just the right time. Then she abruptly hung up the phone. It seems her son is her weak spot. It was the first time Tom had seen how his mother treated me, and he seemed very concerned. We arrived at my in-laws' house exactly 10 minutes later. When I rang the doorbell, my FIL answered. Oh, thank you for coming. I'm sorry for the trouble, but she's still getting ready. Could you wait in the car? Despite all her complaints, my Emil wasn't even ready yet. After waiting for about 5 minutes, she finally came out of the house with a sweet voice intended for Tom, FIL, and the grandchild. She said, I'm sorry for the wait. Since Tom and my FIL were sitting in the back seat, Emil took the front passenger seat. When I started driving, she began to complain in a whisper about my driving being too rough or the car being too hot, in a way that the back seat couldn't hear her. I stayed silent, knowing that reacting would only make it worse. A quick glance in the mirror showed Tom, FL, and Ava happily chatting in the back seat. Seeing them made me cool down a bit. After about an hour of driving and enduring Emil's complaints, we started to see steam rising around us. We had arrived at the hot spring destination. It was just past 10 a.m., and I felt relieved that we made it on time. As we got out of the car, Emil remarked, I said I wanted to be here by 10 o'clock and we're late. The delay was clearly due to her not being ready on time, and it annoyed me. She should have been ready when she called. Despite my frustration, we had an enjoyable time sightseeing and eating until check-in time. However, Emil continued her petty annoyances, making me carry bags and hold places in line. Seeing Ava's happy face made it all bearable. Tom noticed I was carrying Emil's bags and took half of them. Finally, it was time to check in. As long as Ava kept smiling, I wanted to make the trip as good as possible. Could you handle the check-in, Rose? Sure. Once we checked in, I thought there wouldn't be any more issues for the day. We have a reservation for 3 p.m. I gave my name at the reception, but something seemed off. I couldn't get on the same page with the receptionist. We have a reservation for 4 people, not 5. I quickly realized Emil had arranged this. The receptionist continued, we have the names and ages of the guests and only one 60-year-old woman is listed. Emil had intentionally done this, causing trouble for the hotel. It was too much. Sorry, it seems we made a mistake. Is there any way to add one more person? The receptionist, looking apologetic, said, I'm very sorry, but we can't add any more guests to this room. We're fully booked today. I was unsure what to do next when Email approached with a smug look. "Oh, Rose, is there a problem?" Email grinned slyly. "Did you make the reservation, Email? It seems my name wasn't included." I couldn't help but speak a bit harshly. Then Email said something shocking. "What are you talking about? There's no way I booked a room for you. What I said was it was a family vacation, right? Today is just for family." My mind went blank at those words. What is she saying? You think a wife who can't even produce an heir is family? You can't be a family unless you give birth to a boy. Something snapped inside me. "So you never planned to let me stay here from the start?" "Of course not," Email said, laughing triumphantly. Just then, Tom noticed the commotion and came over to the reception with Ephiel and Ava. "What's going on?" Tom asked, but Email interrupted. "I made the reservation correctly. This must be the hotel's mistake," she said, looking at the receptionist. Just a moment ago, she had intentionally said she didn't book a room for me, and now she was blaming the hotel. "No, I took the call, and I'm sure the reservation was only for one woman," the receptionist said, clearly confused by the sudden change. "Did you forget what you just said? Blaming the hotel is unfair." I quickly defended the hotel. Email's face turned red with anger, and she started yelling, "Shut up. We are customers. I made the reservation correctly." Despite the receptionist's best efforts, Email continued to shout, "Young women like you can't do your job right. Get me someone higher up." Everyone was stunned, but they gradually understood the situation. "Mom, calm down. So Rose's reservation wasn't made?" Tom asked. "That's right. I just wanted a family trip without any interruptions," Email said, her drastic change in attitude making me sick. How long did she think she could deceive Tom and Ephiel? I'd had enough. I decided I would really leave. Even if I wasn't there, Tom could take care of Ava. "Fine. I'll leave then since I'm not part of your idea of family," I said. Hearing this, Email's smile widened. "Oh, really? That's a shame. Well, since it's the hotel's mistake, we should get some compensation." She didn't book my room on purpose and now wanted to blame the hotel for extra services. Tom stepped in to help. "We'll find a place for the three of us. You and Dad can stay here," he said. Email's face showed clear displeasure. "Oh no. It would be a waste of cancellation fees, and it would be impossible to find a place to stay in a hot spring resort on short notice on the first day of a 3-day weekend. And I want to spend more time with Ava since it's been so long," she said, mentioning their grandchild. Tom couldn't respond. "I'll be fine. Please take care of Ava," I said, thinking about whether to come back tomorrow or find somewhere else to stay tonight. "Apologies for the inconvenience." "There's no need for you to leave, ma'am," said a man in a black suit who appeared from the back of the reception area with the woman who had been at the front desk earlier. He seemed to be the hotel manager. "See? I made the reservation correctly. I included Rose," Email said. The manager replied, "I see. If that's the case, there might have been a mistake with the age entry. We can't change the number of guests, but age discrepancies are not an issue." The man in the suit spoke gently with a smile. Essentially, he was suggesting that I stay in place of Email. "You must be joking. The reservation is for one woman, right? What about me?" Email yelled, but the man in the suit remained calm. He continued in the same tone, "But ma'am, you just said you had definitely booked a room for this lady as well, didn't you?" Email's face turned bright red as she responded, "Yes, I said I booked a room for both me and Rose, 2 women." The receptionist spoke up quickly. "As I mentioned earlier, when I took the call, you said 1 woman." "That's a lie. This woman is lying," Email exclaimed, enraged. Tom and Ephiel tried to intervene, but Email was too enraged to listen. "I see. Then we need to verify the facts," the man in the suit said. He then started operating a machine at the reception desk. From the machine, We heard Emil's voice and the receptionist's from the time of the booking. Yes, Saturday, 1 woman, 2 men, 1 child. 1 woman, 2 men, and 1 child. Could you please provide their ages? What a surprise. It was Emil's voice when she made the reservation. Emil's face, which had been red, turned pale. The man in the suit, still smiling, looked at Emil. She wasn't ready to give up yet. I just made a mistake. I set the wrong number. Emil started making excuses. Then Tom stepped forward. Mom, what's going on? Tell the truth. The truth? You didn't book a room for Rose on purpose, did you? Tom questioned. What are you talking about? I would never do such a thing. Mil exclaimed. Okay, then let's check, Tom said, reaching into my bag. I was puzzled until he pulled out a voice recorder. I actually put a recorder in and recorded it without Rose's knowledge. Here, let's listen to the conversation you had at the reception desk earlier, Tom said. Emil's face turned even paler when the recording played. It clearly captured Emil saying, "You're not part of the family, so I didn't book a room for you." So you said this? Tom asked. Oh, well, that's... Emil stammered. The receptionist had heard it too, so Emil couldn't lie her way out. You did something like this? Emil shouted at Emil with an angry expression. I'm sorry. Emil finally apologized, but she had caused too much trouble for the hotel. We're going home. We'll discuss this later. But whose fault do you think this is? Emil asked. Emil whimpered and fell silent. I'm really sorry for this. Please enjoy yourselves, Emil said to us and then apologized to the hotel staff before dragging Emil away. Tom and I apologized to the receptionist and the manager, but they both smiled and said, please don't worry. Enjoy your stay at our hotel. We were able to fully enjoy our stay at the hotel. Mom, it's nice that the mean grandma is gone, Ava said, surprising me. Even small children can sense the atmosphere. By the way, Emil paid the cancellation fee and left, so we didn't have to pay extra. Afterwards, Emil got fed up and demanded a divorce from Emil. The trigger was this incident, but Tom and I had also reported Emil's persistent phone calls and messages, so Emil completely lost trust in her. When Emil checked with my BIL, he discovered that Emil had also been cruel to my BIL's wife. Surprisingly, my BIL and his wife hadn't divorced. They were planning to leave the family home under the guise of separation. It was a shock, but I was glad to know they were still together. They seemed very happy. Emil, abandoned by Emil and cut off by her sons, now lives alone somewhere. It's truly her own doing. On the other hand, we regularly meet with Emil and my BIL's family, enjoying barbecues and trips together. I want to cherish these family bonds and watch over Tom and Ava as they grow.